Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you again for joining me for another live Q&A chat here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a topic as a group, because the more perspectives, the better, right? Sometimes we get off topic, and that's okay too. If you have questions, please post them. But if you're not new here, then you know every week we have a poll, which is generally the topic of the day. But again, if you have questions, please ask. Today's poll is, we're talking about VO conferences. It is the season. Actually, I think there's a couple of them, usually in the spring and then maybe sometimes in the fall. There are VO conferences or audiobook conferences, get-togethers of some sort where there are coaches, trainers, speakers that give great information. Back in the times of COVID, a lot of these were online, but now we're back into in-person conferences and things. I know there is a VO Atlanta just happened. There's a handful of other ones. Audiobooks at Sea is coming up, I believe, in the beginning of April. Correct me if I'm wrong for those of you that are going. If you have been to a voiceover conference or planning to go to one, or have been to one, planning to go to one, or want to go to one, if there's one in particular that you are excited to go or to attend or have attended, please put it in the comments, because again, today it's not just my perspectives, but it's also all of yours. We do this as a live chat to help anyone watching now or in team replay. We're also going to talk about online training, and I think there are still a lot of in-person classes that you can attend at colleges and whatnot, but I think the abundance and diversity of online training is also very, dare I say, well, yeah, it's important to get training, of course, but I think the different types of online training that are available to you are definitely worth looking into. And I get asked all the time, well, how do I find these? Who do I know? You know, who's good to listen to? Who should I invest in terms of coaching or online training? And as I always say, that comes down to what direction you're planning on going in the voiceover industry. For example, if you're just wanting to narrate audiobooks, then you would want to find online training or VO conferences or audiobook conferences that are audiobook specific, where you can not only learn some performance tips, perhaps technical tips, but also get in touch with clients, publishers, things of that nature. Or if you're looking into getting into video game character narration, then you'd probably want to go to not only some of the general voiceover conferences like VO Atlanta or One Voice, or any of those. Is it One Voice? Am I thinking of something different? Anyway, there's more than one. Like a general voiceover conference that's a little bit of everything. And then if you could also go to video game specific conferences, that would obviously be worth your time and investment. And then also attending Comic-Cons. I think we talk about these a lot, especially for video games or even audiobooks, really anything, I suppose, now that I think about it. Sorry, I'm just like pontificating. Um, but online training. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained this morning. You're like, what's new? Online training. I've actually, one of my former students has actually created a audiobook mastery or like a audio drama guild. And I'm helping with getting the news out about them. If you're looking specifically for audiobook narration in the audio drama sector, meaning audiobooks that are full cast with soundscapes and all of the things, if you think about audiobooks that were designed by or produced by Graphic Audio, if you listen to audio dramas on Audible by Graphic Audio, is it Graphic Audio? I think it's Graphic Audio. They have a workshop that is dedicated to this specific genre of audiobooks. I've actually got all the information to attend their workshops in the comments or in the description below this video if you want to attend. And there is a code that you can use for a percentage off. So if you would like to check that out, then please do. But just looking at the poll, I wanted to see if any of you have attended a voiceover or audiobook conference before or online training. And it looks like a lot of you have attended some online training, which is good because, you know, training is good in any way, shape, or form. 3% of you said yes, both. That's even better. And then looks like the majority of you said no, not yet. So I'm hoping that something said today will help to push you forward out of the nest and into flight towards some sort of conference, get out there and network, learn some things, and or even online training. I feel like I'm not making a whole lot of sense. Am I making sense? I think I'm fighting a cold, so I'm not firing on all cylinders. Anywho, okay, let's go over to the comments. Let's see what you guys have to say. Let's do that. Let's do that. Who's first in? Dwight. Hey, Dwight. Good morning, Angela, the mentor extraordinaire, and my fellow mentees. May your distractions be few and your mic crisp and true, with scripts that twist and turn with glee, a vocal dance of pure comedy. Look at you. Your whispers soft, your shouts so bold, each tell a story waiting to unfold. From commercials wild to narration neat, your voice can make any moment sound sweet. So lean in close to that audio booth where words take flight and sound goes smooth. A voiceover artist, quirky and bright, turning simple lines to pure delight. Have a great day in voiceover, gang. That was lovely, Dwight. Thank you for that. Regarding the questionnaire, I have only taken online coaching. That said, I am attending my first conference in 12 days. I'll be attending Audiobooks at Sea Cruise. I am definitely going to put that on my list for next year. I would like to go. This year is the second or third year for Audiobooks at Sea. I don't remember, but it's relatively new, and I'm hoping that it'll be around next year too. I think we have approximately 12 group training sessions and then 4 one-on-one for small group coaching sessions for the Audiobooks at Sea. Plus, you're on a cruise ship. In-person training and you're cruising on a ship. That's awesome. Caesar's here. Hi, Caesar. Oh, hi, Angela. I only purchased a few courses from Peter Baker's Voiceover Masterclass before joining your Platinum and workshop activities. The rest of my journey is trial and error. Mostly error. I don't think that's true, Caesar. Paul says, howdy, howdy, howdy. How you doing, Paul? Caesar then says, but my errors taught me something, which is that I shouldn't error so much. I disagree with that. I think errors are necessary. Errors are just as necessary as successes. Otherwise, you wouldn't recognize the successes as successes if you didn't have the lessons in the errors to learn, right? Beyond that, the bulk of my online coaching comes from you. And what I've learned has pushed my VO business forward. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. You are an asset to the group. Caesar Gartic Phoner. Hope I'm saying that right. Good morning, afternoon, all. Caesar said, that said, hello, everyone. Been thinking I've got some coaching of my own to offer for things like multi-track, social media, and even something like an effects rack 101. Hope there will be interest. I think it's kind of a no-brainer, Caesar. I think all of those would be good to offer. You have the skill set and the experience in those, so definitely share them. Peak Parable says, by attending online conferences, it gave me ideas of problems I having to solve. They also gave me new problems I didn't know I had, but ended making me a better narrator for it. Absolutely. Absolutely. At what level is it worth the added expense of attending in-person conferences to not only be for learning, but have the resume and knowledge needed to aid in networking? I think that is one of the major benefits to attending a conference versus just online training. I mean, yeah, you can meet people in online training, but at what level can you really engage with them online apart from just kind of chatting and maybe sharing contact cards? I think online conferences are really good for the networking. I mean, in addition to obviously the education and the practice that you get from being there, but the networking is equally important. Not only that, but I know for conferences, so to speak, like Audiobooks at Sea, there are publishers there as well. Representatives or individuals that represent the publishers anyway. And you can not only network with them, but you can also like live audition for them, right? Going to the conferences is one thing. Going with an open mind, the ability to take a lot of notes or record it or whatever they will allow you to do, but also to go with what did we decide in our last platinum group was the best way to exchange information was to have maybe not just a business card, but maybe a business card with like a QR code on it that would lead them to your website, where you would ideally have demos, samples, contact information. What was it called? The dot? What is the new way of doing this? I think it's the dot. Correct me if I'm wrong. But again, if you guys have information about what you share when you're networking, exchanging information when you go to conferences, then please share that as well, because that is what we're talking about. So please share your experiences. Life Darling says, I have a question, but it's technical. Can I post it? Yes. I don't want to post something that's not subject. It wouldn't be the first time that we've completely gone off the rails in one of these. Yeah, we have a general topic that we talk about, but if you have a question regarding something else, then please ask, because you never know who else is watching that has the same question but doesn't want to ask it for the same fears of, not being on topic. So go ahead and ask it. Also, apologies for not immediately wishing you all a good morning. How are you? And hope everyone is having a great day so far. I'm in panic mode. Okay, well, tell us your problem. Let's see if we can figure it out. Voiced by Rebecca. Good morning, Rebecca. I've done webinars and starting with a coach this week. Good for you. Different perspective, experience, and opinions can answer questions you didn't even know you needed to ask. I completely agree because not everyone that you learn from, listen to, videos you watch is going to have the same perspective on everything. And I think that's a very healthy way to approach it because, as I always say, there's so many variables in approaching the path to where you consider success lies is because there's so many different ways to get there. Not only that, but from studio to studio to studio, from artist to artist to artist, there's a lot of variables there too in that micro, right? So in the macro, you've got all these different layers of variables. So the more information you can take in, the more perspectives and opinions you can take in, you may just find that something this person said and something this person said come together to make something that works for your situation that perhaps you didn't see before or think of before, right? So taking in all this information like a sponge and then deciding what works best for you and your situation, I think is the best way to go because of all the different layers of variables that are here. Yes, because someone might have great information, but an approach that doesn't really resonate with you even. But if you have that information and then you come across someone else with maybe a slightly differing opinion on how to approach it, but then their approach works better for you. Does that make sense? Am I going off on a tangent? Long story short, take in all the information that you can take in and then make your own decisions in what works best for you in your situation, in your studio, with your equipment and your voice and your desired path to get to where you want to be. Everyone encouraging Darling to ask questions or ask the question. There we go. Erica's here. Hey, Erica, good morning. Jim's here. Good morning. Finally thawed out here in Memphis. Yeah, it's getting warm here in the desert too. Definitely getting warmer. Oh, hi, Spicy Caesar. Pam is here. Hey, Pam. Howdy from Washington. I have studied from old school in class to online. Yep, Pam is definitely one to pick the brain of. Pick the brain of? We love picking your brain, Pam, because you've got some great information from all your vast experience. All right, so Darling says, when I open my DAW, I can listen to already recorded tracks, no issue. But when I plug in my mic and to record, my interface picks up internal computer noise. My voice can barely be heard. Over the noise? I don't see where it's continued. It's either that your computer is just way too darn close and just makes a lot of noise. I mean, not every computer is completely silent. I don't know if there is such a thing as a completely silent computer. They all emit some sort of noise. So based on what you've said, it's either your computer is just way too close, or there could be some sort of interference going on with the cables, the connections somewhere. If something like if a cable isn't completely seated where it's, like it's completely plugged in totally, basically, that could cause some sort of an interference. I mean, it could be something as simple as that. So if I were you, I would try two things first and just see if that helps. One is to move the computer as far away from the microphone as you can. That was one of my issues with the noise floor, is that the computer is just too loud, because the microphone doesn't know to just focus on your voice. It's going to pick up everything it can pick up within its range of pickup, right? So if your computer is too close and making too much noise, it's going to drown you out. So move your computer as far away as possible. Amazon has a ton of different cords. I don't think there is a cord that I wasn't able to find in varying lengths. So if you need a really long cord for a USB-C to a USB-C or whatever it is, you can probably find it on Amazon to move it far away. The other thing is just unplug and replug in all of your cables. Make sure that none of the pins internally are bent. You know, when you look at the plug itself, you can see there are pins in it. Make sure that none of those are bent, and just plug them all back in and make sure that they're completely plugged in all the way. I would try those two things. And I'm sure Caesar probably has a pointer or two. Caesar says hello to Erica. Kristen, hey Kristen, how you doing? From LA. Donnie's here. Hey Donnie. Hello all. Hope everyone is doing amazing, and thanks to my accident, I have more time to work with my amazing, wonderful coach. Is that like a blessing in disguise? Oh boy. Bill Sherry says, good day, William here. Brand new. Welcome, William. Glad to have you. Kristen says, love your poem, Dwight. Yes, it was very good. Did you write that, Dwight, or did you have ChatGPT help you out with that? No offense, but I mean, ChatGPT is sort of taking over everything. Everything. That's all I'm going to say about that. Joel says, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Joel. Reading Time with Poppy says, training definitely will. Hopefully soon. Conference, too many people. I can relate to that statement. Being an introvert, it's, way too people-y. But if you can suck it up and just go again with an open mind, and if you focus on all the information that you're going to get, all the tips that could potentially propel you so much further and faster than you would have on your own, wouldn't it be worth just being a little uncomfortable for a couple days? I think so. Plus, this community of voice artists is one of the most warm and welcoming I have ever had the privilege of being a part of. So your ability to probably make friends right away is very high. Right? Not only that, but if you've been in the industry for a year or so, you might even run into somebody that you've, chatted with before, maybe here on, my live chat. You're like, oh, you're that. Oh, okay, cool. And then you make a friend, right? You never know. But definitely worth stepping outside of your comfort zone and giving it a try. People-y, yes, but worth it? I think so. Erica says, Caesar, I can't seem to at you. I'm doing well. Yeah, YouTube's weird about, like what it would consider to be spam. Like it filters everything. Joel says, I just attended VO Atlanta for the first time and it was a blast. Yeah, I completely missed this one. I missed... Apparently, I've been under a rock for the last few months, and I missed when it was happening and when to get tickets, so on and so forth. So I completely missed it, but I definitely want to go too. Protein pancakes. I love it. Are they protein donuts? That would be good too. Jim says, is wondering where in Atlanta the VO conference was held. I know the city, having been there many times. I'm not sure exactly like the venue that it was held at. I'm not sure. I bet you a quick Google search would probably tell you that. Donnie says, speaking of, ACX has started their VO Academy if you want to dive into the audiobook rabbit hole. The VO Academy on YouTube has actually been there for quite some time. And it's it used to be on ACX, just solely ACX, but then they started a YouTube channel and put all their videos on YouTube as well. And there is some good information there if you're looking to narrate audiobooks, even if you're in a country that doesn't, that ACX doesn't support, you can still get all that great information about producing audiobooks from ACX's Academy on YouTube. Definitely a channel to follow. Kristen says, I would sign up for your Effects Rack 101, Caesar. See, Caesar. Gartic Phoner says, I need to go to a conference or do a course to see how wrong I'm doing everything. Okay, I can tell you right now that the one thing that you're doing wrong is doubting yourself. You're limiting yourself right now with that whole statement. And you all know that we don't do any stinking thinking here. No stinking thinking. That is one of the biggest problems with ourselves, I think. One of the biggest obstacles is ourselves. We hold ourselves back for whatever reason. So don't tell yourself that you're doing something wrong or everything wrong or anything wrong. You're learning. That's all you need to know. You are starting from zero. We all have. That's nothing to be ashamed of. So you're a student. You're learning something new. You should be proud of that and then celebrate every achievement going forward. But don't ever tell yourself that you're doing everything wrong. Never. David says hello from Hamilton, Ontario. Hello, David. Tanya says, afternoon all. I'm in two minds about One Voice UK in May. It's so expensive, even to attend online only. I think I looked at that one a couple years ago, and I agree. It is pretty pricey. It's pretty pricey, but they had a really good lineup of instructors or speakers. I don't know whether I'm at the right point in my career to justify the expense. I think any point in your career, I mean, apart from like week one or month one, if you've been in it 6 months or more, I would say I think you should go attend conferences. They can only do good for you and your business and your voiceover endeavors, right? Because at generally about 6 months in, you know enough of the terminology and enough of what goes where and what does what and all of the things, right? You know enough basic terminology and have a pretty good idea of how things work to benefit from a voiceover conference of any sort. And One Voice is a pretty good one. I attended one online a couple of years ago, but I've never been to one in person, and I would like to. But I'm with you. But I think you should totally go. Graphic audio, and that sounds like my sort of thing. Oh, let me see if I can find a comfortable position. Didn't do enough stretching last night before kickboxing, and I'm feeling it today. Ow. Colette says, morning, everyone. Morning to you, Colette. Jim says, garlic. It helps to nail down the specific area that you know you need help in. You mean not garlic. You were talking about Gartic phoner, maybe, perhaps. Caesar says, you're making sense. Nest, push, flight, and so on. It firstly set my nest on fire. Theraflu. I don't like taking medicine if I don't have to. I just took some oil of oregano, and that usually helps. But I don't like taking medications if I don't have to. Erica says, you're making dollars and... Oh, good. Cents is fine with me. As long as I'm just not verbally vomiting nonsense that I'm making some kind of sense is all I need. Gonic Nick. Hello from Ottawa, Ontario. Hello to you. Jim says Dwight sounds like the poet that didn't know it. Oh, I'm sure he knows it. I'm sure he's well aware. Caesar says, wow, that was a great poem, Dwight. I didn't realize it was a poem earlier because I'm operating on 2 hours total sleep. Stop it, Caesar. You're going to burn yourself out. Third year. Okay, so this year is the third year of Audiobooks at Sea. That's cool. Well, I hope it's around next year, too. I would totally like to go. Rebecca says to Life Darling, have you closed all programs, unplugged everything, then restarted the computer, opened only your DAW, plug in only what you need, and still hearing the noise? It's a good point. If your computer is doing too much, it's working too hard, therefore extra noise and perhaps interference. That could be another thing. Jim says, errors aim you, showing you what needs fixing. That's right. Donnie says to Caesar, there is no fail. You win or you learn, my very good friend. That's right. Darling says, nope. I always have my browser up scouring the internet for help. I'll have to try that. Good. I hope we gave you some directions to help fix that. Kat says, hey Hey, Kat. Thank you again for this love. Super useful. Can anyone recommend either online or in-person training in the UK for the technical side and using software for home studios? Thanks in advance. Sounds like Caesar might be your guy. Caesar, for paying attention, there's a need. There's a need. And I can't recommend anyone better. Masonry Construction says online training. Yes, every week at 9 a.m. Pacific, this crazy lady shows up for free and trains us for about an hour or more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You got to drop her name, man. I mean, share the love. So other people can participate and get this free training, entertainment at least, perhaps. Thank you for that. Caesar says to Donnie, I agree. It took a long time to adapt to that mindset, though. You either win or you learn. And I think, I can't impress upon you guys enough that mindset is everything. Everything will change if you can just shift your mindset and get rid of all the negativity. See challenges and errors, failures, all of those things as a positive thing, meaning you learned. You learned something that you needed to learn. Right? What's the phrase? Rejection is protection, and what's the one about failure? I think somebody said something similar earlier. You don't fail, you learn, right? It's a lesson that you needed to learn. Sometimes they're not always easy. Sometimes they're very hard, but it was something that you needed for you to grow. You either win or you learn. Rebecca says to Life Darling, the basic IT strategy of did you turn it off and back on again? Opening programs or plugging in your peripherals one by one can narrow down where it's coming from, or if it's the DAW. Speaking of which DAW, Life Darling, which DAW are you using? That might help too. Tanya says, I use Blink as a digital business card. I don't know if it's universally available. That has a QR code. I haven't heard of that one. Blink. I bet you if it's a digital business card, it's probably along the same lines of what I'm thinking of, which I think is called Dot. I could be mistaken. But, even if you have a printed business card, if you go to somewhere to network and you have a stack of business cards, make sure there's a QR code on it, right? Because who keeps business cards anymore? I don't know anybody who has a stack of business cards in their pocket. But if you handed it out and they're too busy to check out your stuff then and there, maybe later when they get home from the conference, they can go through their cards and put everybody in their contacts that way. That would just be easier to do than to have to type in everybody's name and everybody, you know what I mean? Having a QR code it's easy. We have all of this fabulous technology at our fingertips. You make it work for you. Put a QR code on your business card. Caesar says to Life Darling, what sort of mic is it? USB, XLR? If there's a buzz or a hum, you might either have a bad cable, or if it's an SUB, a USB, might not be seated properly, and you may want to try a different port. Donnie, you brought chocolate truffles and coffee. Are you eating truffles for breakfast? What? Living my dreams, Donnie. I have truffles, but they're like the mushroom kind. Of course. Of course you do. Life Darling says to Caesar, I use a Rode NT1 and Focusrite 2i2. They've hardly been used, thanks to procrastinating and fear. I bought them 10 years ago, and I'm only now regularly using them. Don't be like me. Yeah, I see Caesar's got the same idea I do. If they're 10 years old and if they weren't stored properly or maybe jostled, it could be the microphone and or the interface that's causing your problems. Yeah. Donnie says to Caesar, share, LOL, I could those. eat those, use those. Rich, hey Rich, your tangents are always good. Jim says, because of you, a few weeks ago, I dove into the spectral analyzer and really cleaned up my sound. Yes, the what he's referring to is the spectral display in Adobe Audition. Game changer. But once you start to see words in the spectral display, or breaths, or mouth noise, or nose farts, or anything else, you could see all of that stuff in the spectral display. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. You see it all the time. And then it could lead to over editing if you're not careful, because you can see it. It's not like you can ignore it. It's there, staring you in the face. But it does really help to make editing go a little smoother. Dwight says to Life Darling, you may be having interference caused by your wires. Separate your power wires from your mic cables and your monitor and computer wires too. Life says to Rebecca, I think the average IT team would be rolling their eyes at me right now. Donnie says Pam is a goddess when it comes to all this. Yes, she is. Caesar says to Life Darling, so I have some theories, all related to the mic's capsule. It's either covered in dust or the mylar membrane has absorbed moisture over time. You may need to have the mic serviced. Dwight says you may have your mic backwards too. Well, I don't know. It sounds like something internal. It's either the computer's, if the computer's too close, it could be the computer picking up noise, but I think at this point it's probably the mic and or the interface itself. Backward thing is also valid. I would think that, well, without hearing it, it's hard to tell just by going off of what is explained. Angela and I have the same computer, and man, oh man, does it make a difference. Make sure the gold dot is facing you on the microphone. My cup of tea says, I can attest that I have my mic backwards. My problem was solved. Caesar is a virtual witness to my blunder. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. And I think it comes down to most electronic devices used to have, like, it would come with a booklet, right? It would come with a booklet on how to use it, right? How to service it, how to hook it up, all of that stuff. But now to save paper and cost, they tell you to download it online, but nobody ever does. I mean, who does? Who downloads all it? Nobody does. It's just one more thing to take up storage on your computer, right? So inadvertently, everybody, I mean, I'm really looking at a microphone. I mean, how hard is it? You plug a cable end here and a cable end there and poof, you're done. But the most important part is that nowhere does it say that the gold dot is the front. And inadvertently, a lot of people are speaking into the wrong side of their microphone. It happens a lot. And it doesn't mean that you're dumb. It just means that you didn't take the time to download the manual. But really, who does? I mean, who does that anymore? Nobody. It's not there to easily flip through to find the 2 bits of information that you need. No one's going to do that. Silly. Donnie says, and yes, your cables can be a nightmare sometimes. Let's see if we can find some questions. Caesar says, makes you wish microphones were asymmetrically designed. Oh, regarding the poem that Dwight wrote, co-written with Claude AI. I wrote several stanzas and asked it to make it smoother. It added about 35%, got me out of the writer's block towards the end. Kat says, sorry I missed the first 20 minutes. Sorry if it's been mentioned already, but has anyone been to the One Voice conference in UK? Is it useful, worthwhile? Thanks. I think all that's been mentioned about that so far is it same question that you have, is it if it's worthwhile? Anyone at NC? Bill would like to know. Rich says, go to the conferences, but have a goal in mind. You need to come away with actionable items. I mean, I think it goes without saying, not to you, Rich, but everybody watching, but it goes without saying if you're going to invest into something, especially in something that is, I mean, on the expensive side, right? It's an investment into your business, a ticket to a voiceover or audiobook conference, depending on where it is and who's speaking and all of the things, that's an investment. So don't waste it. Go with an open mind with a back pocket full of business cards and a couple pads of paper and a pen or some way to take notes, right? And to Rich's point, if you have a specific goal in mind, then finding that information or being sure that you take the notes for that particular thing, right? Something that you want to put into action or put in place or change or improve, then you'll definitely get what you're looking for out of it. It's an investment, so don't waste it. Angel says, hello. Hello. I've attended online conferences, including One Voice, participated in online coaching. I'm slightly challenged to attend in person due to medical issues. Any workaround thoughts? In addition to being an extreme introvert, I also have concerns about the spread of germs and things like that. Like I have an autoimmune disease, so I'm what do they call that? Immunocompromised. So it's easy for me to get sick. So I understand that aspect, but I think most of the in-person conferences also have an online. They also have an online option. I know they did for sure in the times of COVID, but I want to say the last couple conferences I did not see an online option. Does anybody know if VO Atlanta had an online option? Again, I completely missed the boat on VO Atlanta, but does anybody know if they had an online option? If there aren't any online options, then I would still consider going. Just make sure that you've got everything that you need to keep yourself safe, right? If it were me and I had to go, and if I really wanted to go, if I invested in going, made the decision to go, I'm going to go, bought the tickets, I'm going to go, I'm going. I would take masks. I would take a lot of antibacterial wipes and things. Would make sure that, you just try to be as safe as you can, right? It's kind of a do I, don't I, but you have to make a decision on which way to go. And then just, if you do decide to go, just make sure that you're protected in any way that you can. But I get your concerns, for sure. And usually if there is an online option, if you miss a talk, because some of the talks are going on at the same time, so you can only choose one of the two to attend. So if there is an online option, you can usually go back and rewatch the recorded one later. That's a benefit for sure. Life Darling says, yes, they were stored properly. I've been using both for the past couple months with no problems. The static seems to have happened overnight. I'll let Caesar handle that one. Masonry Construction says, speaking of ACX, just submitted a couple of audiobooks, all of which fully cleared ACX labs and then got notified to some noise floor issues. Guess what? ACX does not check those. They do check those, but they only spot check. So the places that you check for for noise floor may not be the same places that the Audiolab software checks, because I think it only checks maybe a spot at the opening, a spot at the ending, and then a few random spots within the file itself. So if it just, happens that the software picked a spot that maybe a truck was going by or something outside and it just exceeded that -60, but that's happened to me before. It only spot checks. It doesn't check the entire file. So what you could do is add a little bit of a noise reducer to that specific frequency that it's picking up and hope that that takes it down just low enough. Donnie says, if you are not stumbling, etc., you are not trying. These walls will only make you better. Caesar says, okay, you sure it wasn't on backwards? Rich says to Angel, you should try gravy for the... GFTB is gravy for the brain. I didn't make up the name, but check it out. Ty Condolar, hey, how you doing? Hi, Angela. I paid for 1 year of training with a guy named Jesse Carroll. He's a P2P guru. So far, it's not bad, but I must say I get tons of help from your Platinum group. Just as good for a fraction of the cost. I appreciate that. Masonry Construction says, very intrigued at VO conferences at sea. I love cruising. Now, adding in the side benefit of possible tax deductions? Lovely. Wish I could find something on the West Coast, so no flying to attend. I think a lot of people on the West Coast are going, but I get it. I mean, the added cost of, airline, and then the cruise itself, it can add up pretty quick. I get it. Jim says, I see where VO Atlanta is at the airport way south of downtown. Darling says to Caesar, yes, thankfully I knew that gold dot has to face forward. Let's see. Donnie says, I get training every Thursday from this amazing lady. Her name is Agala. Colette says, fail forward to success. There we go. Angela. Or Agala. Whatever. Caesar says, thanks for the referral, Angela. Cat D, how may I contact you? There you go. Caesar, you need to make something readily available. I know you're like uber busy right now, but when you get the chance to get caught up with your backlog, get some rest before you burn out, and then create like a self-paced course of some sort. I mean, that way the learner can go at their own pace because everybody's got hectic life, right? They may not be able to sit in front of somebody live for hours to accomplish something. They might just prefer to take a course to learn about something in bits and pieces when they can, right? So consider that too, Caesar. Let's see. Jim asks, how do you recognize mouth noise in the spectral display? It's they look like icicles, basically. If you go to your file and you're watching the spectral display as you play, you hit play and you're going through the playback, and you hear mouth noise, you can note what shapes it takes as you're playing it. But they usually look like icicles. Donnie says, guilty of over-editing. I'm in a 12-step program. Reading Time with Poppy says, I got Studio One free with my mic. I started using it until I realized they don't have a spectrogram. Boo. Back to Audacity. Khan Farhan says, I am trying to get the same pop filter for the 416. Any suggestions on where I can? This one, I want to say it's a Rycote. I'm sure Caesar knows the model number, but I bought it from B&H Audio, B&H Photo. Is it B&H Audio or B&H Photo? Just type in B&H Audio and it'll probably pull up the website. But that was the only place that I could find this pop filter for the 416 because it's not that it's any better per se than any other pop filter. Because I do videos, I didn't want a gigantic pop filter blocking my face while I'm trying to talk to you guys. Backup. What's your backup setup? When I upgrade equipment, I don't immediately sell it or anything like that. I keep it just in case I need a backup. So I have a few microphones. I have a backup interface, 2 of them, I believe. And anything else that I might need, I have the old versions of where they're not broken. I just upgraded. So I kept all of my old stuffs. Just in case anything does fail, I have something to fall back up on. Jim says the mic forward backward was the situation I didn't address until a month into recording. Completely normal. Rebecca says there's a DC conference in November, but $600 is the early bird fee. I'm debating, but wow, the sticker shock is real. Yeah, some of these are a major investment. Rich says VO Atlanta had an online. Okay, good. Autoimmune disease. That explains why no one with that name attends here. Aha, I get it. Dwight says to conference prep, paper, pencil, mini voice recorder. Also, researching my coaches and prepping scripts tailored to their topic styles. Unique scripts for each on with backups. Never use the same script for more than one coach because the consensus says it will make you crazy as they contradict each other. That recommendation came last night by the cruise planners. Paul says, regarding ACX and noise floor, I'm pretty sure they will only reject a file if floor is too high. I've never had a file rejected for floor too low. They will reject your file if it's too low, if you go too heavy on your noise reducers, or if you use silence instead of pasting in room tone that is under -60. So they will. I mean, you haven't had that issue, Paul, but they will also do that. So don't ever use silence to paste in your audiobook files for ACX. Just low ambient noise, like your normal room tone, right? As long as it's under -60 dB. But they will also, of course, kick it back if it's too high. Caesar says, from my understanding of Audiolab, it doesn't check everything. You can try Second Opinion, which is downloadable and more comprehensive, or if the budget allows for it, Positron detects noise. I have to tell you guys that every time that ACX had kicked a file back to me saying that it was, the peak was too high or the RMS was whatever, it was just wrong in some way, shape, or form. I personally check all my files before they go, and I know they're all within where they're supposed to be. So anytime ACX said there was an issue, I just re-uploaded it. And then Audiolab went, great, thanks, all good. Because it just spot checks. Right? Or sometimes the software is not 100% accurate. Just saying. Joy says, hello everyone from sunny cold Southfield, Michigan. It looks like I gotta bring the donuts. Did you? But did you? Where are the donuts, Joy? I did both online training and went to VO Atlanta before. Eric Grimes. Hey, Eric. How you doing? Hi, all. I've had a variety of online training. The Platinum Group is invaluable. Eventually, I'll start earning enough to attend a conference. VO Atlanta is on my radar. The cruise would be amazing. Yeah. Questions. Dwight says, I've had training by Bill DeWeese, VO Blueprint for 3 months, one-on-one with Frank Gerard, you, Caesar, Christina Vogel, and Wendy Merritt. Each has their one specialties, but I must say, you are my rock. And you are the wind beneath my wings, Dwight. Should we all start singing? No. Caesar says the shock mount is a Rycote Universal. I knew it was Rycote. The pop filter, Hook Studios, that's what it is. Hook Studios Octo 842S. There you go. And that is B&H Audio. B&H Photo. It's one of the two. But that's what it's called. Jim has a question. Caesar, where can you find Second Opinion? It's a great question. Joy says, I got Krispy Kreme donuts. The original glaze or the chocolate? Gotta know, Joy. Gotta know. What time is it? It's about that time. I've got a ton of work to do, and I would want to get it done before my voice completely goes out, because I have a feeling it just might. But thank you, everybody, for attending today and sharing your information and your insight. If there's something that you guys want to talk about together as a group, as a chat, as a group chat, then please put those suggestions, comments down below. If you're Team Replay, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help push my content into the face of other people who are looking for this content. So please like, subscribe, share, do all the things, tick all the boxes, bells, bubbles, I don't know. You know what I mean. But I'm going to get going. So I'll see you guys all next week. For those of you in my Platinum group, I'll see you all on Thursday. And that's about it. So I guess I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.